Mr. Hallows for coming to speak tonight. Mr. Christopher Welch, would you now please address the Council for up to 5 minutes?
Thank you. Good evening, councillors. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Chris Welsh. I must first declare that neither I nor fellow resident Sam Morland, on whose behalf I speak, have any commercial interest whatsoever in the proposal I'm about to give to you. In 2020, this council declared a climate emergency, committing to urgent action to reach net zero by 2030. With that target now less than 5 years away, we must be honest about what meaningful action towards that goal looks like. Today, I propose a simple but powerful action for RBKC to transition to 100% plant-based catering at all internal council meetings, canteens and events starting immediately. If you take one thing away from this today, let it be that this is not about asking individuals to change their personal diets. If that were the case, I'd be talking to individuals out on the street. This is about RBKC as an institution taking responsibility and setting an example for others to follow. And we should make this transition not because our constituents are plant-based, but for 3 reasons that they demand we attend to, each of which I will now address: climate, health, and cost. First, on climate, natural disasters are increasing. In 2021, 500 properties in our borough were flooded due to climate breakdown. Yet, despite increased frequency of these events, the role of animal agriculture in driving climate change remains criminally unnoticed. Animal agriculture contributes more than double the greenhouse gas emissions of plant-based agriculture, yet it provides less than half the protein and a quarter of the calories that we eat. Up until now, only subsidies have propped up this gas-guzzling industry, allowing it to maintain cost parity with plant-based foods. The UK's National Food Strategy has already made clear that reducing meat consumption by 30% is essential to reach net zero targets. We've taken small steps, such as meat-free days in catering. But to make RBKC stand out as a true leader, a full transition to 100% plant-based catering is what's needed. Meat-free Mondays are already widespread elsewhere. We can do better by making a strong, decisive move to 100% plant-based, showing authority in our commitment to the future. Secondly, why plant-based catering is better for our health. Dyes in high red and processed meat are linked to heart disease, certain cancers and type 2 diabetes, serious health issues that put unnecessary pressure on our NHS and local health services. It gets worse. Animal agriculture is a significant driver of zoonotic diseases, those that jump from animals to humans. COVID-19 demonstrated the risks involved to all. While we cannot control all animal agriculture, we can take action by supporting plant-based food systems that are safer and healthier, securing a more stable future for all. We owe it to ourselves to protect our communities, children's, and traditions of health and safety. RBKC's own public health strategy highlights childhood obesity as one of its top priorities, and plant-based diets are part of the solution. The Eat Lancet Commission has called for plant-rich diets as the best path for both public and planetary health. They prevent chronic diseases, support healthy weight, and are nutrient-rich and protein-rich. It's not about removing choice from individuals, it's about what we as an institution choose to normalise and endorse, especially in publicly funded spaces. Third and finally, why plant-based catering actually costs less. We all know the immense pressure on public budgets. Every pound counts, but councils like Cambridge, Oxford and Hythe have already found that plant-based catering is often cost neutral or cheaper. Plant-based foods generally have a longer shelf life, reducing spoilage and waste, which means fewer resources spent on replacing food. And the long-term savings are significant. Healthier food choices reduce the risk of diet-related illnesses, which can in turn reduce sick days and long-term healthcare costs. So to conclude, what we are asking today is not radical. It's not a ban or a judgment on anyone's personal food choices. It's a leadership decision. A decision to uphold the dignity and future of this council, to show responsibility and authority in our actions, and to respect the sanctity of the environment we are entrusted with. This proposal is simple, symbolic and smart. It supports our climate strategy, public health strategy and fiscal responsibility. And it requires no complex infrastructure or additional legislation to implement. RBKC was one of the first councils in London to declare a climate emergency. It can lead again by becoming the first Conservative-led council in the country to adopt 100% plant-based catering at all internal meetings, canteens and events. Thank you.
Councillor Thalasites, would you please respond for up to 2 minutes?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Chris, for coming. It's great to see you coming to full council to advocate for change. It certainly raises the visibility and awareness of these issues. I enjoyed the conversation that we had with Stephanie, your Northern councillor, about catering in the town hall a few weeks ago. And as we discussed, the council has already cut back considerably on catering for meetings. So we do sometimes have hot drinks and water and possibly even a few biscuits. But we have made lots of environmental progress. For example, stopping using single-use plastics, which I know Soft campaigned a lot on. And really that just leaves catering in our canteen. I'm pleased to say that we offer a vegetarian or vegan option every day, which I think is the right thing to do. But I think where I'm probably starting from with this conversation is that people should have a choice every day when they come into work about what they eat, which means that everybody's dietary needs should be met. They should have the option no matter what their dietary needs are, but that when they come in, they should be able to decide between different choices. Certainly the education piece that you've flagged today is worthwhile, and certainly if people want to make those choices and move to a more plant-based model, I think probably people's choices will push what we offer in that way, because ultimately we want to serve the things that people want to eat. But I'm afraid probably I don't think it's the right thing for us to constrain choice by offering solely plant-based meals right now. I think it's really important that we're catering for the widest possible need within the council. I know what you've said about the climate emergency, and I think you're absolutely right that it's one of the key things this council needs to take forward. We need to be a greener borough, and we've made a lot of progress on that front. Hopefully there's lots of other things that we can work on. I know there's already a lot happening in Norland, for example, whether it's tree planting or retrofitting, but I'm afraid and I'm happy to discuss this with colleagues once the contract comes up for renewal, but I think probably where I'm coming from is that piece around independent choice on these issues.
Councillor Benton, would you like to respond for up to 2 minutes?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I mean, as both a vegan for 20 years and a Vulgar Socialist councillor in RBKC, I am used to being ahead of the curve. But frankly, making our officers eat what I eat is just something I would not be willing to support. I'm in agreement with my colleague, Councillor Thalasites, would you believe? And of course I do. I do. The point is well taken, that there's the current measures, I would also say, that are mentioned in the question, do amount in large parts to, for example, with EVs, penalising people who can't afford one. There's a lot of the approach to the climate, it's just not, frankly, in my view, worth the burden that we're putting on the poorest people in our community. And when it comes to here, I think we have some of the most dedicated and hard-working officers, and the idea of making them, you know, eat plant-based meals when they're at work is just not something I would sign off on. I mean, the climate crisis is happening. I mean, it's happening now. So many policies that are discussed are frankly too little, too late. And I think these answers that you're identifying or gesturing towards in your question sit with a lot of the legacy of the last 40 years, particularly of public policy. And it's a supply-side issue. If you have, as you say, these industries are supported by subsidies, get rid of the subsidies. If I thought it was worth it, if I thought it would make a dent, then I'll be having a different conversation. But while I'm very sympathetic to a lot of what you say, I don't think this is a substantive solution, and I don't want to burden our officers with it. But thank you.